Hi, this is Jaime Anderson on the night shift at the Fleetweather Ocean Routing Center in New York. Today is Friday, December 16th at 7:20 GMT, and this is an overview of the North Atlantic Basin. Starting off with a satellite picture courtesy of Kentucky, going over some of the features across the basin. From west to east, first we have a low pressure that is just along the eastern US coast. There's also a gale force low pressure that is just to the south southeast of Newfoundland, as well as a gale force low pressure that is just to the west of Portugal. In addition, there's also a high pressure that is to the west of the Canary Islands. Now moving into our operational GFS model, starting with the low pressure that is just to the west of Portugal. You can see that there are very rough to high seas that are surrounding the Iberian Peninsula. However, as this low pressure center begins to move across portions of the Mediterranean and Europe, the conditions associated with the low pressure quickly abate along the Portuguese coast. And going back to the first timestamp of 0Z on the 16th, and moving to our low that's in the central North Atlantic, just to the south of Newfoundland, you can see that this low pressure it is going to move to the east, east northeast, and this is going to be due to a high pressure ridge that is going to block northeasterly movement of this system right here. This is going to block northeasterly movement of this system and it's going to keep it on a more easterly track. So as the system moves to the east, it does become complex by the 18th 0Z with these two low pressures that are just to the south of Iceland. And as these centers begin to deepen, it is going to absorb the main center by the 18th 12Z, with these two centers becoming the main centers of this low pressure system. And then by the 19th 0Z, it is going to move this low pressure system to the north. And you can see that with these compact centers, that an increased pressure gradient just to the west of them is going to increase conditions to strong gale to storm force with very high and potentially phenomenal seas on the western semicircle of this low pressure system. And this is confirmed with the European model of significant wave height in feet. You can see that there are roughly 32 to 40-foot seas, which is equivalent to roughly 9.5 to 12-meter seas. And this can be seen on the euro at 0Z on the 19th. So as these low pressure systems begin to deepen, they are going to remain quasi-stationary due to another high pressure system that is over Europe and the high pressure system that is over Greenland. It's going to keep this low pressure center near quasi-stationary, and it's going to allow these low pressure centers to slightly deepen. However, as the high pressure across Europe begins to move to the southeast, it is going to allow movement of this low pressure system. And by the 21st 12Z, there will be noticeable movement of this low pressure system as it moves across the North Sea and then northeast over the Norwegian Sea. And it is expected to be just to the west of Norway by the 22nd 0Z. Now, moving on to the low pressure that was along the US coast right here, you can see that as this low progresses, it is expected to move up along the coast and it is going to remain quasi-stationary over New Brunswick for some time. And by the 19th 12Z, a new center develops just to the south of Newfoundland. As this low pressure begins to deepen, you can see that quickly there are very rough to high seas that develop along the southern semicircle of this system, as well as strong to gale force winds. And Conditions only spread as this system begins to deepen and remain quasi-stationary due to lack of movement from the low pressure that is in the northeast eastern portion of the basin. And as this system in the northeast Atlantic begins to move by the 21st 12Z, it will also allow for movement of this second low pressure system that is now currently to the southeast of Newfoundland. And further eastward movement is expected of this system due to our blocking high pressure ridge that is going to sort of inhibit northeastward movement. And with these systems, 5 to 7 meter seas are going to remain across a majority of the North Atlantic basin, extending as far south as about 29.5 north. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on LinkedIn to receive all the latest weather and routing news. Once again, this is Jaime Anderson from the Fleetweather Ocean Routing Center. Stay connected and safe.